members of the Supreme Court. Let me ask you this. Why of all impeachable officers or officials, why of all members of the Supreme Court, you're zeroing in now on Justice Marvic Leonen? Attorney Gadon, it seems you don't have an audio. We'll try to get him back on the line or via Zoom. We'll try to fix his audio. He's back. Okay, Attorney Gadon, are you back?
Imagine, he has 82 backlog undecided cases. And for me as a lawyer, that's unacceptable because he is a member of the Supreme Court. If they can dismiss or suspend judges who committed less crimes than the 82 backlog cases, then why not Leonen? Why not Marvic Leonen?
Marvic, sir. That's Marvic. Attorney Gadon?
Yes.
Can you hear me? We didn't hear the start of your response there. Again, I'd like to repeat the question. Why of all impeachable officials, why of all members of the Supreme Court, you're going after Justice Leonen? Of course, you cited the cases, the pending cases before him. What else?
Aside from the backlog of cases, he did not file his SAL-N for many years in UP while he was teaching in UP. And if Attorney Lourdes Sereno was removed from the Supreme Court due to that reason, then why not Leonen? Why not apply it to Leonen?
Okay, regarding that specific SAL-N allegation that you have, do you have any evidence? Because I understand your basis was a mere newspaper report.
The beauty with impeachment proceedings, Christian, is that the House has the power to summon documents. So if they can find that the complaint is sufficient in form and substance, and if they can find that there is a basis for them to summon documents, and they can do that. They have the power to do that. An impeachment case is very unique. This is different from the ordinary cases in regular courts.
Okay, I know that.
Sa madaling salita, kahit na hindi ka nakapag-submit dyan ng original documents, the House can still summon it.
Okay.
In fact, we did that during the impeachment proceedings of Sereno.
Yeah.
Remember that the administration or the human administration department of UP were summoned and they were asked to produce.
Yeah, okay, we remember that, Attorney Gadon. But in this case, you're talking about the possible removal of a very high official of the country, an impeachable official. Don't you think you should have at least presented any semblance of a stronger evidence other than a newspaper report?
Well, the reports are already strong enough to prod the Congress to issue summons on the concerned agencies.
Why is that? It's a mere newspaper report. I mean, how is that evidence? How can that be considered evidence?
Newspaper reports, we give it with high value. In the same case that your reports over the television are given high value.
But to actually remove a member of the Supreme Court, and number two, won't you just be turning the House of Representatives again into a venue where you could fish for evidence when you didn't have any at the start of the complaint?
No, we already have reports, and that is a good start. As I've said, the beauty of impeachment proceedings is that it is not like a regular proceedings in courts that you have to present your evidence yourself. This time, in impeachment proceeding, if the members of the committee, of the Justice Committee, believes that there is sufficient reason for them to summon documents, then they can do that. They have the power to do that.
No, we understand that. The Justice Committee in particular.
The rules were designed this way because imagine if any ordinary Filipino would like to file an impeachment case against any impeachable officers, and they do not have the resources to do that, they can no longer file the case.
Yeah.
That is why the Congress is given that kind of power.
But it's not, I don't think the law or the framers of the Constitution, perhaps this particular provision in impeachment as inspired by the impeachment process or proceedings in the United States. When you talk about the wisdom behind that, I don't think it was intended to be abused by people like you. How do you respond to that?
Oh, this is not an abuse proceeding. This is not an abusive act. In fact, it is Leonin who is abusive. Imagine the 82 backlog of cases that is lodged in his sala. You can just imagine the difficulties of the sufferings of the litigants here.
How about the other members of the Supreme Court? Don't they have any backlog cases?
Well, they have, but very minimal and very
like how many?
Well, in the case of Chief Justice Peralta, he only has 4.
How about the others?
3 to 4. In the case of Senior Associate Justice Perlas Bernabe, she only has below 10.
Okay. I don't have the records with me, so I don't have a way to validate
it's only
that.
the news.
Okay.
It's only the news.
I don't have the data now or the information to fact check what you're saying. Okay.
That is why it's very easy to prove the guilt here of Associate Justice Marivic Leonen, because all we have to do is to summon the Clerk of Court of the Supreme Court and ask him if it is true that there are 82 backlog cases under Leonen.
Okay. Now the newspaper report, I understand this came out in the Manila Times. I mean, how do you respond to suspicions that was part of the plan? You came out with a news report came out, and of course the impeachment complaint followed. I mean, is this part of any plan to actually go after the Justice Marvic Leonen?
No. It just so happened that the complainant is also a journalist, and probably when he read about it, he made a decision to file the impeachment case.
So the reporter is among the...
And then I got the information from him. I asked him to make a draft of his information, the information that he has gathered, and then we just, together with my legal team, we made a complaint out of it.
So you were in touch with the reporter and he was part of the preparation of this impeachment complaint?
Yes, because he fed us the information that he has gathered.
He fed you the information that he had gathered, okay.
Yes.
Now, is Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. behind this impeachment complaint?
I have not even talked to him from the time that this complaint was prepared and actually filed yesterday.
But was he involved?
No, he was not even mentioned there.
But
I mean, his protest was not even mentioned there.
But you have to mention his protest.
Because the point there is the violations committed by Justice Marivic Leonen on the backlog of cases, because the Constitution is very specific on this, that the cases must be decided within 24 months from the time that it is submitted for resolution. Some cases of Leonen have been sitting there for probably 3 to 5 years or more than 5 years. But beyond the 24 months period prescribed by the Constitution.
But how do you expect...
the 24 months is already very long for a decision to be written. And besides, there are researchers in the Supreme Court that the justices can ask to draft decisions and do the research on the decision.
Okay, but how do you expect the public to believe you that Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. was not behind this impeachment complaint when the Marcos fingerprint is all over the place? You, for instance, you're a known...
Well, I deny that the Marcos fingerprint is all over the place.
In your case,
I deny that. Christian, I am a lawyer. I respect myself. I respect my profession, and I expect the Supreme Court justices to be true to their words.
Okay, let me finish the premise of the question, where I predicated that particular question. You are a known loyalist of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos. And of course,
Why is it wrong?
the one who endorsed your
That's the-
impeachment
that's the-
complaint
that's the
is a
trouble,
cousin of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. And there was a previous effort on your part to have, and also on the part of the Solicitor General, also a known loyalist of Marcos, to actually have Justice Leonen inhibit from the election protests of Bongbong Marcos. I mean, how can you say that his fingerprint is not all over the place?
Well, he has nothing to do with this. Bongbong Marcos has nothing to do with this. Whatever I do is my own decision. I have seen that the pet of the protest of Bongbong Marcos is being delayed by Leonen, purposely or deliberately delayed. Imagine, the case was raffled to him October 2019, and it was only last month that he issued an order to the COMELEC and to the OSG to file a comment. He could have done that September, October, November of last year. And he cannot say that there is a pandemic, because the Supreme Court has been operating even during the time of pandemic. In fact, the case of ABS-CBN was heard by the Supreme Court. So he cannot make that as an excuse.
But this is the usual pace of election protests. You know that for a fact. They're painfully slow, and some of the cases, or in fact many of the cases, usually become moot and academic because they reach the deadline. I mean, they flow into the next round of elections, the next election cycle, so that many candidates don't bother to wait for the decision.
It doesn't mean, Christian, that if the previous protest handled by the Supreme Court went to a snail pace, then it doesn't mean that it should be the precedent, or it should be the model of handling the election protest.
But of course, you need to prove that, and of course, you need to prove that that is an impeachable offense, right?
The protest of Noli and Lauren Ligarda, they were wrong during the time of FDR and Miriam Santiago. It doesn't mean that it has to be wrong again in the case of Bongbong Marcos. And why is it, let me correct this misconception. Why is it that being a supporter of Marcos is bad and being a supporter of Aquino is good?
I didn't say that.
Why are we teaching this to the public?
I didn't say that.
Well, generally, the media has been labeling the Marcos loyalists as bad supporters.
No, I'm talking about the fingerprint of Marcos in this case. If that is your opinion, that's fine. I'm talking about the Marcos fingerprint in this case.
But how come that every time I am interviewed, I am always labeled as a Marcos loyalist? Can I be myself as a lawyer? I am a lawyer. I want the Supreme Court to perform well. And Leonen is not competent. He is lazy. He is biased. He is incompetent. He doesn't deserve to be in the Supreme Court. He was just rammed into the Supreme Court by Noynoy Aquino. He is not qualified.
Why is that?
While he may be the dean of the UP College of Law, it doesn't mean that he should be in the Supreme Court. He has no experience in the government except for that being the chairman of the peace talks between MILF and the government of the Republic of the Philippines.
But does that disqualify him from getting appointment? I mean, you're questioning competence. That's fine. You can question.
Yes, he is incompetent. He has no experience in litigation. He has no experience in judiciary, and he has no equivalent experience in the government to be appointed as a Supreme Court Associate Justice, unlike Justice Antonio Carpio, who has served the government for many years.
But why did you know the process of the selection? You know the selection process, sir.
For many years.
Okay, you know the selection process for members of the Supreme Court, for members of the judiciary. Why didn't you go after the JBC? The process of the JBC, if you had questions regarding the competence of this person.
Well,
lawyer na kayo nun, diba?
I know for a fact that
Not
he was just rammed into the JBC by Noynoy Aquino.
But it was a public proceeding. Why didn't you go after that process at that time?
Imagine those coming from the Court of Appeals, Sandigan Bayan, and NLRC, the Court of Tax Appeals, all of these people are more qualified than Leonen. I am more qualified than Leonen in terms of experience in litigation.
Then you should have yourself nominated in the JBC next time, perhaps, if that is the case. Well, thank you very much, Attorney Gadon, for joining us on the program, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering our questions.